dude?
It's Friday! Friday! Friday!
Yeah, you ain't kidding. It is definitely one of those days. This is, welcome to SDH AM. What's left of it? Yeah, it is going to be, it is one of these days. Literally. Alex, for the third time, is saying good morning. Yeah. So, morning, Michael Valverde, Four-Card, everybody who's been drifting in and out with us all. Okay, so sticking to our timetables, Bart Keeler is going to join us now in 15 minutes to discuss what we wanted to discuss. Let's see how long the internet hangs out with us this time. All right, so here's the deal. Leagues Cup changes, Club World Cup, groups. Apparently the schedule's coming out later today. Bart's going to join us over a couple of topics, and then we'll get you ready for the weekend. So, yeah, take 3. Let's see what happens here. All right, so John, hear you there, and hold your breath. So we'll see what happens. Once again, good Lord. All right. So here's the deal. I couldn't even get through the damn promo. So let me go through the promo on the short version, and we'll lay it all out for you. Once again, opening kickoff. Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. Soccer down here, 15. When you check out, you get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10% reinvest at youth games, youth initiatives, Kickoff Coffee, and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Now, once again, we go to the other things that are going on. So, here we go with round number 2. Grady Baby Co. Grady Baby Co. You can help out middle school soccer programs tied to Atlanta Public Schools. And you can do that by going and grabbing Soccer is Just Better in Atlanta. You can grab the sweatshirt. You can grab the T-shirt. It's in red. It's in black. You can do all of that stuff, and you can watch that there with them and be a part of what Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. are doing as a part of the collaboration with us here at SDH. Now, third thing, as we mentioned, go to Olive and York, oliveandyork.com. Scott Flood and the Flood Project, they've done great work in putting together our first ever supporters kit that you can get at Olive and York. Black base, and it is, see, I think of it as two different, I think of it as a white lettering and white numerals, and then it looks like it's light blue to me. So you've got the choice of either light blue on black or white on black. You can go to our friends at Olive and York. You can catch up with them. You can help out programs that we have earmarked in 2025 to help spread the beautiful game. You can get it with your kit, your supporters kit, and you can personalize it if you should so choose. So that's Olive and York. So Olive and York, Grady Baby Co., and our friends that we always like to sit here and discuss here every single morning when it comes to what you can do to help grow the game, especially with our friends at Kickoff Coffee. Now, something not on the board that I found out thanks to Abby this morning. In the past, you know our relationship with our friends at the Marshall Islands. So this was the last kit that the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation pieced together. It's gorgeous from our friends at Player Layer. They now have a new one out, and when we have the plans to show you where you can get it, I imagine it'll be on the website. We can help them out there as well. But they now have, just in time for the holiday season here in the Northern Hemisphere, a new jersey to add to your stacks, and it's tied to the local flora and fauna. And that came out this morning. This is the last jersey that they put out. Once again, you can get your Marshall Islands Soccer Federation scarf here at SDH. Proceeds go to help out the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. But they now have a new jersey that can be added to your stacks as well. So, Marshall Islands, Grady Baby, Olive and York, Kickoff Coffee, all the things. There you go. That's your morning promo across the board, and we're still on the air. Holy crap. All right. So let me get into Leagues Cup because that's probably going to be a shorter discussion than hanging out with Bart. when Bart comes on in 10 minutes. With Bart, once again, Tom Russo had a reffing down here moment involving Everton that he wished to have discussed. The article that Steph Yang had out at The Athletic, where apparently we have corporate overlords overseeing VAR in Major League Soccer, and officials are kind of getting creeped out about it. And it adds to the attention of credibility when it comes to folks in the booth. And then JT Batson had an interview with Amanda Davis at CNN International discussing coach sharing. I wanted to get into that with Bart. And I also want you to pay when episode CV 105 pops up. It'll probably be a review of the window. We'll talk about Bart. We'll talk to Bart about that and get into that discussion. Monday, Bart's back in his normal time slot. I'm saving most of my women's national team questions for then, and then reffing down here from the weekend, because once again, before we go this morning, it'll be looking at things that are going on across the planet, moments from the weekend, and going from there. But one of the questions that I'm going to warn Bart about on Monday is the goalkeeping situation. Now that Alyssa Nair is done internationally, if I remember the stat correctly, as it was broadcast on TNT Max and all the other places it was broadcast in the last match of Alyssa Nair, the 4 keepers in line Hi, Bart.
Hello.
So I'm going to try and piece this together. So we'll see what happens here now that you've wandered up to your particular location. Apparently, the signal didn't die. And thanks to the diehards that have been hanging out with us this entire time. So what I'm going to do is let's see if we could start the show all over again. I'm going to start the show all over again. So let's do that because I'm mad as a hornet right now. So as we're back after a 16-minute delay, strategic retreat. Strategic retreat, Alex says. Bite your tongue, sir. Yeah. So, all right. After 11 minutes. All right. So we'll tell you what. Since we're here at the beginning of hour number 2, almost close to 10:05, how about this? And I know that a lot of you are just kind of watching to see what else is going to go wrong because it is a Friday. So, yeah. All right. Here we go. Let's do things like this, shall we? You know, let's go ahead and run this. All right. So hour number 2, which is really hour number 1, and we'll see where we go. Let's see. All right. So what's the clock? Yeah, we're live now, 4Card. Yeah, we're live, I guess. So what's the time? All right. So let's take bets on the juice boxes. A fourth good morning, yes, in this economy. We like spreading. We like spreading good mornings. So all right. How long do you think the internet signal is going to hang out now? How long do you think it's going to hang out now? Just asking. I'm taking bets. How long do you think the internet signal is going to hang up? It's going to be with us because it's been one of those damn mornings. Literally 3 dumps in the first hour of the show. Nixonian gaps that would make the Watergate investigation proud. And so now we're going to start hour number 2, which is really turning into hour number 1. And for this, we're going to bring Bart in, and we're going to talk things. and if you could turn your device sideways, sir.
Oh man, I don't see that. Sorry.
Because I'm there we go. I want it to fill up the screen. I want it to fill up.
There we go.
All right. So yeah,
Can you hear me? By the way, I'm not on my normal audio. So
yeah, you sound like you're in the room. You're not on your headset.
Okay.
So as he fixes his audio setting,
yeah, maybe
to hook up. Oh, there it is.
All right. Is that better?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's. I thought you were hooking up your headset to the device.
Well, that was the problem. I think the headset was the issue. So
okay. All right. So yes, we are. So a couple of things that I wanted to bring you in this morning to discuss, and I don't want to steal from our Monday appearance. So I'm going to save most of my women's national team talk to Monday, and I also want folks to go listen to episode CV of the Soccer for USPOD and go through all of what was going on in your collective brains over there as we go. But the goalkeeping question and conundrum, I'm saving that to Monday.
Okay.
So, and I imagine that you guys are talking about it and you're over there.
We are.
All right.
You know, we're just refusing to accept Alyssa Nair's request for returnement.
Yes.
That's what we've decided.
Yes, you're stomping your feet and saying this is not allowed. No, that's not allowed. A couple of things I wanted to get into with you this morning is Tom Russo had requested a review of an egregious offside call in an Everton match.
Egregious. Okay.
And so I've got to find the context of said event, and then we can get into what.
Yeah, I think it was. I watched this on the highlights for the Premier League highlights, and
okay.
Let's think about this. So I forget the player's name, but there's an attacker who, you know, John, how if you pull it up and see it, it's great. But you know, there's a set piece, a free kick from basically 5 yards from the touchline. about parallel with the top of the goal arc, so we're with the penalty arc, excuse me.
Got it.
So not close to the goal, but not a shooting opportunity. Everton has lined up with who was they playing?
Oh, it was
Wolves.
Yeah.
Everton and Wolves are lined up, and like a lot of times happens, Everton puts a couple of players, specifically one in particular, offside, because that's what a lot of teams do. They have one player that kind of stands offside. That player then basically sets a pick for the Tchaikovsky. I don't know how to say his real name, but
Tarkovsky.
To come in behind him and win the header that ends up going in the back of the net.
Okay.
The reason this was called offside is because the player was in an offside position, so they obviously review it, and they deemed that he interfered with active play. Now, I think why this was deemed interference with active play is because one of the considerations to be involved in active play is, as we've talked about a lot of times, we talked about the interference of a goalkeeper, but you can also interfere with defenders.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, he basically moves back onside after the ball is kicked and puts hands on an opposing defender, stopping that defender from defending the aerial free kick.
Right.
And I do think this was, unfortunately, Tom, I do think this is the correct call because he makes an active play in on the free kick, right? He is not just standing there. He doesn't just happen to run into someone. There is a physical force of contact with his hands into the defender who's trying to get to the attacker who's making the header. And to me, that is an offside. Sorry, you got involved in active play.
Okay. So
sorry, Tom.
Yeah, no,
sorry,
well,
Everton.
Yeah.
You came out all right. Or you still won what? 15-0, I think.
Yeah, you did. You won 15-0. It was the second goal in the 16th minute. They were up 1-0 at the point. Tarkovsky scores on a header from Dwight McNeil, and then you get the offside check from VAR. So Dale Johnson's description goes like this. When incidents like this happen, we always hear comments such as, why aren't goals ruled out for blocking on every set piece?
Yeah, it's a fair question.
The key factor is this isn't a foul, it's offside.
Correct.
For a foul, the blocking has to be of a sufficient nature and not be normal football contact.
Correct.
For offside, any contact, meaning it doesn't have to be a foul, which prevents an opponent from being able to challenge for the ball, is an offense. As the ball is in flight to Tarkovsky, Oral Mangala holds Lamina and prevents Wolves from attempting to prevent a cross from the goal scorer.
Yep.
So Dale Johnson says you don't have to think Lamina will win the ball, meaning the player for Wolves, only that his ability to challenge for it has been affected.
Right.
Had Mangala been onside, the goal would have stood. Had Mangala and Lamina not been in the direct flight of the ball to Tarkovsky, the goal would have stood. And a couple of other examples in this, and Dale Johnson goes back to Carabao Cup in 22 against Chelsea, Liverpool, and then in February of this year, Virgil van Dijk scores, but VAR steps in as Endo had stopped the run of Levi Colwell.
Correct.
So it's an offside offense, and it happened directly in front of the run of the goal scorer, and so it is a VAR intervention that actually did work, and it was a positive. So there we go.
And I think that is a good indication or specification. This is not a foul. We did not call this back for a foul. This was offside. It's very similar to a defender being in line of sight of a goalkeeper affecting their ability to see or play the ball. In this case, had the defender or the attacker just been in the way, right? I don't think that would have been called. But as Dale points out, it is physical contact. No, it's not a foul. That happens all the time. That's fine. But when you start offside and then do your little pick setting, that's going to be the problem. It's very much, John, offensive pass interference when normal hand fighting is one thing.
Right.
But when you intentionally make a route to get in front of a defender and prevent them from then getting to play defense, that's going to be an offensive pass interference. So that's basically what this was offensive pass interference. no goal.
Go back to where you were standing, Bart.
Yeah. I'm here.
Oh boy. Hit
I
me.
can hear you.
Nope, you're still all right.
I can hear you.
Here we go. It's
Okay.
thinking. It's thinking. We're all thinking this morning. It's thinking. Still thinking about it. What's going to happen? Is this number 4? Crashes in 70 minutes. Does it happen?
I hear you.
Does it happen?
I don't
4
see
in
you
70
moving.
minutes. Does it
I
happen?
hear you.
Bart is still struggling. And
No,
of
I'm not
course, there we
struggling.
go.
You're struggling. Oh no. Well, if y'all can hear me in the chat, hi. I don't know what's going on here. And I'm the only one in here. Hi, people. All right. I'm gonna wait a little bit to see if John is here. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Take number 4, 82 minutes in, or 77 minutes in, I think. Hour and 17. Sure. Okay. All right. So let's try this. It's take number 4, and now people are going to come storming back in, hopefully. John's here. Bart's there. Like I said, we got juice boxes on how long the signal's going to hang out. I don't know what it is. I really don't. It's just
messing with my snarky comments here, John.
Well, your snarky comments, your snarky comments, sir. It's like be a part of the snarky brigade. So, all right, so that's done. So really quickly, once again, welcome back. Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Soccer Down Here 15. Get your coffee. They take 10% reinvested. Very cool stuff. Bart's got his coffee. I don't know if it's Kickoff Coffee or not. What's the mug?
If Brittany survived 2007, you can handle today, which is probably a good motto for you this morning, John.
You ain't kidding, brother. All right. Grady Baby Co. You can get the sweatshirt and the T-shirt to help out middle school soccer programs at APS. Soccer's just better in Atlanta. Get it in the red, get it in the black, and you can help out middle school soccer. Also, once again, our friends at Olive in York, and Olive in York, we like them because they've come up with our first ever SDH supporters kit. And you can get that thanks to our friends at the Flood Project, Scott Flood, Kaiser Permanente. It is a black supporters kit. You have your choice of personalization, yay or nay, white personalization, or I want to say it's like a light blue. So you can get that at Olive in York. Our friends at the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation have a new jersey out just in time for Christmas. I don't think it's available on the website yet. We can always check and see. But they're going to send us all to the poorhouse, and you can get your Marshall Islands scarf that Maddie modeled when she was an intern. How many interns can you say started an international marketing campaign and were a part of it? I think that the answer is 1, Madison Cruz. And so that's
especially international.
Yes. And so Maddie is a part of that. So now that we're relatively caught up, you got your snark out of the way involving the moment with Everton and everything. A couple of other things I wanted to get into this morning with you, JT Batson and coach sharing, and the Steph Yang article at The Athletic before we get into things. But I do want to tease something in particular, absolutely. And so we've got to do it this way. I know this will shock all of you, but Major League Soccer has named their MVP for the season, the 2024 Landon Donovan, the Don Ovan MLS Most Valuable Player, Lionel Messi.
Ricky Puig. Oh, no.
Lionel Messi. According to MLS Communications, as of 24 minutes ago, which we would have broken had the internet worked, the Argentine becomes the first player in club history to earn the league's highest individual honor after leading Inter Miami to an MLS single-season points record in Supporters' Shield. More on that later. So I know that you're all shocked. You're all shocked about that. That's why I stopped the breaking news, because we're all shocked about it. Okay. So more into that in a bit. All right. Steph Yang at The Athletic, and we kind of got into this yesterday when the article came out. And as we continue our reffing down here, kind of a sidebar this morning that I wanted to get into discussion with you. Headline from Steph Yang. MLS refs claim in-game interference means they are no longer in control. And it was a wild headline in the first place. And it goes back to a routine check during Crew and Red Bulls during this past season. And so after VAR completes the check, ruled a collision with a keeper in the box was not a foul. A pro manager on site who was not a match official told him to take a second look. Transcription of the conversation was given to Steph Yang. Pro manager dips into the conversation involving VAR and the on-field refs to intercede in a call and have them take another look. Quote, the structure encompassing the officiating of North American soccer matches sometimes dizzying combination of acronyms and intermingled bodies. Pro oversees refereeing as it relates to professional leagues. The Professional Soccer Referees Association, the PSRA, is a certified labor union representing the rights of the refs themselves. IFAB is an independent organization upholding the rules of soccer around the world. So IFAB regulations mandate VAR decisions must be made by only the on-field officials plus the video ref and their aforementioned assistant, meaning the interaction above from an interceding official, not on the game sheet, was at odds with the accepted global standards for the use of global replay. According to multiple sources familiar with pro policy and refereeing at the top level of men's and women's soccer, interference from pro has become a habitual problem in MLS and NWSL games. While the presence of a pro manager listing in at a game would be normal as part of their analysis and oversight, actual participation in the in-game decision-making process extends beyond their remit. So the Athletics, Steph Yang spoke to several referees, all of whom have several years of experience, claim the incidents like the one in Crew Red Bulls game were part of a pattern of interference, and two referees who remained unnamed, obviously because of job security, requested anonymity and a reprisal. So now you have referees saying that there are bigger issues at stake, the need for viewing public to have faith in their officiating performance and that the VAR process is conducted with transparency. You have supervisors coming into the pods at halftime of matches, according to one referee. Communication headset where they can listen and talk in and keep in. And they've come on during the course of the game to help point us in a different direction. Second referee, there's a concern that the protocols in place are not being upheld as they have been previously enforced. There have been suggestions which fall outside of the strict protocol that we've been asked to carry, end quote. Pro responded this way: 2,649 checks in 2024, of which 6 to 1,000% prompted comment from a supervisor to a video match official. Pro conducted an internal review when this was brought to our attention, and improvements were immediately made to Pro's processes as a result. What say you about that?
Yeah, this is, I don't want to say unacceptable, because I understand why Pro would feel compelled to want to intervene in particularly contentious situations.
However,
that's not their job. That is not in the job description. That's not in the writer. That's not in the trip manifest. That is not what they're there for. Now, if they want to have these conversations after the game, fully fine. But I definitely dislike pro officials being in tune with the headsets. I think that is a problem. I think that is not something that functioning professional referees should have to deal with. I do believe that. I understand how at my level and the levels leading up to that, I could see where in some cases you could have what essentially is amounts to their assigner, right? That's what pro is basically, is the assigner.
Yep.
Being involved to help with training. I could see that, but not in a sanctioned regular season league match competition. That is overreach for sure. And does make officials, who, by the way, should be operating at their highest, to use the Gen Z term, they're locked in. They should be. They should be at that level of mental focus. We all, as referees, do feel a little bit more in tune with the game, maybe when you're being assessed, but they're being assessed every game, and the assessment and the assessor are the least important people during that game.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, the feedback you're going to get are from the players and coaches. Which,
how do I phrase this? It was concerning, not surprising.
Yeah, especially in this instance of VAR.
But anything past anyone in any of these situations, I'm not. So I found intriguing but not surprising is probably the best way that I can phrase what Steph Yang, friends at the Athletics. So I thought it was, it was
Uh-oh. Here we go again. Ask questions, I guess, if you want me to answer them for the time being. John got kicked out again. We have he's gonna have to go for round 5. I'll stick around for a little bit so he can figure it out if it's worth it. So anyway, this particular instance of the Red Bulls and Columbus Crew match is, for my opinion, very concerning because during the VAR process, trying to, again, we've talked about this on the show a lot, re-referee, and having someone who's not a match official come in and try to actually referee a game is really concerning. That's a problem. And I'm a little disappointed in Pro for doing that. That I think they should be better. It wouldn't surprise me if we get similar reports from NWSL, but that wasn't in the article that Steph wrote. Yeah. Y'all have questions, I guess, put them in there. John is refraining from cursing because he doesn't want y'all to hear it, but I think this is already an explicit rating episode. Yeah, if anyone has any questions that you want me to answer about the refereeing that we saw, let me know. Otherwise, yeah, let's discuss. I love that. Let's talk about Messi. I think the problem I have with the Messi winning MVP is obviously it was written in the stars well before that. That was in the script for the 2024 season. It would have taken a heroic effort for someone to beat Messi this year in the MVP race, but I do think that a guy like Ricky Puig probably deserved it more than Messi. He was way more instrumental to the way the team played. Messi, was very important, but come on, man. Like, you've got 3 other World Cup winners on that roster. 3 World Cup players on that roster. Like, you don't need Messi to win that. Good job for Messi, though. It got them a first-round exit, so congrats. What is your line as a ref till a game could be abandoned? Abandoned at my level would be not really in my control, to be honest, because at the grassroots level, while I may look up at the sky and say, I'll give you 2 examples. I may look up at the sky and go, hey, we have thunder and lightning. We're going to clear the field. If that match continues to play or how it gets continued to play is not something that's up to me. But, if I don't have a league official or the coaches aren't the ones making the decision, then it would just basically be, have we gotten to – a lot of leagues have their rules, and most of it's basically have you got to the second half. And if so, you can abandon a match officially. I did have one match get abandoned earlier this year because the team showed up with only 10 players. They had a player get hurt early in the second half. And they were down like 4. They actually scored a goal. They scored a goal from a kickoff, but they ended up losing like 4-1 at halftime. And at halftime, the coaches came to me and said, we're done. While the team could have continued to play with 9 players, they opted to not to. I mean, that was poor John. He's struggling. Anyway, the line for abandonment is basically whether are we allowed to continue to play and how long is it going to be until we play again. Usually I like to try to give as much time as possible, but I think the general rule of thumb is once you've surpassed your playing time slot. So for example, if I have a match scheduled at 9:00 and we haven't restarted a match by 11, then it's likely that match will get abandoned for weather. Now, I've also had some issues with parents before where, luckily we didn't get there, but we've had issues with parents where if they can't control themselves, especially literally being the adults in the room, we have threatened to kick them all out, if not abandon the match if they didn't. And, abandon the match if they didn't leave. We've had that issue once where a parent did not want to leave. And I said, well, we're not restarting this match until you leave. And he tried to stay. And I, basically called the coaches over and said, if he doesn't leave, we're abandoning the match. But that isn't really in the control of the referee. While the laws of the game may say it does, that very much is something that's left up to league officials. And more importantly, as a referee, we're going to go to the coaches to have them make that decision, especially at the youth level, because they're the ones kind of in charge of that match for reporting purposes and, making sure everyone's safe. So especially at a safety issue, we're going to talk to the coaches and say, hey, this is where we're at. It's probably not safe to play anymore. Yeah. Any other questions? Thanks, Rich. Just killing time until John gets back. Yeah. Who has a Atlanta United gift on their wish list this year?
And so Bart's here before even me now.
I was here the whole time, John.
I know you were. Yeah, you were. And so to continue our conversation, Derek says being an AR in youth games and having to listen to parents crap is the worst.
Well, crap is the nice way to put it because they oftentimes don't use that word. I have developed a really good teacher look that I use both as an official and as a center official and an assistant because parents forget that they're the adults sometimes. Like, it's really sad, John. Mm-hmm. I had one earlier, like last month, where it was a younger kid in the middle, but like I am super protective of anyone under the age of like 19 who is refereeing because I think we've talked about this on this show before, the turnover, and a lot of that is because younger referees don't like being yelled at, and parents see a kid in the middle and just think that they don't know anything. This kid has gone through actual training, and you're over there as a parent who barely can run and have opinions on this. And I've straight up yelled at them before. I have. Nice. And I'm not supposed to. Like, I 100% understand this, but I've told assigners and assessors that they're given the standard, like, don't interact with the coaches, and I'm like, I'm going to try to tell you, like, I'll yell at them for a second. And it's not bad. I was just like, hey, that's enough.
Yeah, you snap
type of thing.
You get it done.
Because you got to think, John, I mean, I'm not a parent, but I've seen this parenting trick when the kid is not acting right. You got to give a nice little, like, shock to their system so they go, oh, they're serious about this,
Sometimes, and quoting Dale Hansen, sometimes you just got to pop them in the butt.
Yeah, and so I can't physically do that. I'll do that mentally with a nice little jerk of the, oh, okay, sorry. And usually they get it because most of the time they're just being petulant.
Yes.
They didn't like one call, and now all of a sudden everything has to be.
Yeah.
They didn't like that I called a throw-in for the other team. Heaven forbid I miss a throw-in, which is going to go straight to the other team anyway because they're 12 and they don't know how to throw the ball in anyway.
Yes. So that was the point number 2 that I wanted to bring in. But yeah, the idea of corporate overlord overseeing VAR and impacting decisions. That drew the people's eyebrow from me when the Steph Yang article came out from The Athletic. Not a fan of those, not a fan of those kinds of things.
It's not appropriate, John.
No, not appropriate. Third topic that I wanted to discuss with you, and that you've hung on here for 42 minutes and only been able to talk for like 8. JT Batson did an interview with Amanda Davis at CNN and CNN International. And so he says that he's open to job sharing in top coaching roles. And it was a proposal floated by Emma Hayes last week. Mm-hmm. Before the draw with England, she mentioned the arrangement, which is already used by various soccer college programs. Once again, this is CNN's wording. As a way of providing more opportunities for female coaches at the top level, she did not relate the proposal to her own position as head coach and that of Mauricio Pochettino. Batson, when asked by Amanda Davis about it, absolutely as to whether he'd be open to the idea. One of the driving factors, quote, behind us building a national training center for the first time is around creating those opportunities for a lot more mentorship, a lot more job sharing,
Mhm.
a lot more seconds, a lot more opportunities to collaborate as folks are growing in their career. We've got this incredible growing market in soccer, and specifically women's soccer, and you need great talent off the field to be able to support those on the field. We need to have a broad-based investment in programs, and job sharing is a great example of those. End quote.
A big issue in American soccer, and I would say soccer as a whole, anywhere, is the lack of females involved with any sort of management or leadership at any level. There are many times that I'll go referee a string of girls' youth matches, right? I did this, 2 weekends ago, where I had 3 matches, not a single female coach for what are total to 6 girls' teams. That would be unheard of on the boys' side, right? Obviously, they all have men who are coaching them. But when you have a bunch of girls being coached by men, I'm not saying that they can't coach them. That's not the point. But we need more women involved. Referees, coaches, administrators. Oftentimes, the only woman in any sort of position of power out there is the athletic trainer. And so this is a good, I think JT's hit on a couple of things. One is that I really love is that unified training center allows your coaches to be here. And so what if the U17 girls coach is also out there at the U20 boys practice, right? That to me is a great use of time and talent of the coaching pool that you have within U.S. Soccer. It also allows for more interaction between the two sides, which means that you're sharing ideas. And we, the point of DEI, to bring up a bad word, apparently, the point of DEI is to
Dale Earnhardt Incorporated?
Raise hail, praise Dale. The point of DEI is to bring diverse perspectives and thoughts to the table. And when you only have men, and a lot of times men from a very specific class of people, you're not getting different perspectives. So, I think his point is just more broadly about why are we limiting women to certain jobs, and we just need more women in period in soccer. And so, I don't know if he's truly open to say, Emma Hayes coaching both the men's and women's national team, although we've joked that should happen. But now we have Pochettino, so I think they're at least relatively comparable coaches. But I do think Emma could have got a better result at Copa America. But it is something that you see it a lot at the college level, where maybe you have. Well, this is a great example, actually. We talked about Lise McRae a lot on this podcast, and the head coach of the women's team there, Callie Morrill, was the head women's coach at Lenora Rhine when I was there. But Coach Adrian Blewett was technically the head coach of both the men's and women's teams, if that makes sense. So he was the director of soccer, basically. And then you had the head assistants for either team who were kind of done with managing. And so Callie was really in charge of the women's team, but underneath the director of soccer. And so that does happen a lot of times, because budgets are the biggest reason, I think, is the unfortunate part of that is it's not because you're being altruistic. You're going, well, it's easier to pay one head coach for both teams, give him a little bit of a bump, and then, have 2 assistants that you're going to have anyway. So I don't know. Hi, Nick. I'll hire you.
Howdy.
Hi.
Is your internet working?
Yeah, Nick's internet's working, I'm sure.
My internet is working. Yeah. So it seems to be some trouble there this morning there, John.
Yeah, 4 dump outs in the first hour and 25 minutes, including 30 minutes to actually get the thing up and running.
And it's not his fault, Nick. This is truly the internet.
Well, folks, I think it was Commando said it was FIFA that was coming down on me once and for all for everything.
Well, I for one salute our new soccer overlords, and I look forward to the crushing oppression ahead.
Yes, absolutely. So
Did you even get to talk about Club World Cup stuff and how Inter Miami got a super easy draw despite?
no, we look, because I have had no internet this morning. We haven't had the chance to talk about the group configurations in the Club World Cup. We haven't talked about what allegedly is going to be happening in Leagues Cup, nor have we had the chance to discuss what's going to be happening in the last match of the year in Major League Soccer. We've done none of this morning.
Here's all we need to know about Club World Cup, John. We don't know when the games in Atlanta are happening or who's playing yet. We don't know.
It's supposed to be today.
That's hopefully by today, that's all that matters. That's the most important thing because that's what we care about. I'm not traveling for Club World Cup. No offense to Club World Cup. It sounds fun, but I'm not traveling for that. But tell me when and where the games are, when and who the games are for Atlanta, and that way I can start making my decisions. Also, I'm sure those tickets will be. This is going to be a test to see how much they can actually price the 2026 World Cup tickets for. FIFA usually does a good job of keeping those prices low, but I am not confident. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, we will we'll definitely take a peek at that. But, yeah, the grid is supposed to the scheduling grid is supposed to come out later today. So we will find out what it looks like. All right. So then, fine. We'll go ahead and take that turn. Since you mentioned Club World Cup, let's go through the groups. Group A, Palmeiras, Porto, Al Ahly, and Inter Miami. And apparently the first matchup is going to be Messi and your current Landon Donovan, Major League Soccer most valuable player, Lionel Messi. They're going to take on Palmeiras apparently in the tournament opener at Hard Rock. So Group A, Palmeiras, Porto, Al Ahly, and Inter Miami. So Messi and friends will not be playing at the Erector Set. They'll be playing at the Casino Stadium instead. And we'll see what happens there. So
that's a butts and seats game right there.
Ain't it though? Let's see. Group B, PSG, Atletico Madrid, Botafogo, and Seattle Sounders. And I knew that the longer Seattle was on the table in Pot D, that, and there were only certain things that you could do and map out, okay, you can't have these teams going up against these teams and these teams going up against these teams. The longer Seattle was in play, I knew they were going to be put here in Group D to go up against PSG, Atleti, and Botafogo. Gee, thanks.
Well, the jury's still out if PSG is actually good right now. So there's that. But
the jury's also out on who they're going to bring for the club.
Right.
That's
right.
I mean, it could be, hey, look, that academy kid who was bringing the water barrels on the field. Can we bring him along? Be our starting 10.
That's correct, Nick. But yeah, hey, look, good for Seattle. They get to host these games. I mean, I think legitimately getting to host in Seattle, PSG is cool.
Yeah.
Our buddy Thiago Almada gets to come back.
Correct.
He's still there by then. I don't think.
John Texter gets an entire tournament to look at on Twitter to see if he can find folks to get to Botafogo. Much like he did to find Thiago Almada. He got a helpful hint about a guy named Thiago Almada on Twitter, and he chased after it. We talked about it yesterday in the handoff with Nino and Nico.
Which is better, using Twitter or Transfer Market to make your decisions?
Oh, that's a good question. That is really a good question. Depends on what your budgets are. Group C.
Well, I'll just say this. One of those guys won a trophy. The other one is now firing their third head coach in 3 years. So.
Well, here's my question regarding the idea is that we found this player on social media, right?
Yeah.
That means that some chuck wagon posted the content, right?
Yeah.
Some poor schmuck out there went through, like, they probably created a great Thiago Almada video with excellent Euro techno beats behind it, and I don't know about that, John. That's a little concerning. Sounds like you need some Pepto. But is this person getting a dime? Is there like a finder's fee that we can direct to the person who posted the Thiago Almada content on social media that got him to Botafogo?
Doubtful. I mean, John Texter right now, we know what's going on with Eagle Football Group. So remember Lyon. So right now I'm guessing the answer to that's a hard no. Group C, Bayern Munich, Benfica, Boca Juniors, and Auckland City. Thanks for dropping by, Auckland City.
A semi-pro team. We love it.
Group D, Flamengo, Leon, Chelsea, and Espérance Sportive de Tunis from Tunisia.
I actually think this is an interesting group because
No doubt.
we get the Liga MX team playing in the US, which I think, will shock a lot of European fans that many, passionate fans would be in the US. Chelsea is on a good run of form. Who knows what Todd Bowley does by next summer?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a really interesting group personally.
And I mean, I'm staring at that one and I'm going, Espérance Sportive de Tunis. Thanks for dropping by.
Yeah, good job.
Here's my thing is I think that this could be one of those groups that could I will agree with my esteemed colleague, the estimable Bart, with saying that this could be the group to watch out for. But I would not sleep on our friends from Tunisia. I'm not saying that as a North African fanboy. I will say that I think Tunisia and the our friends from Liga MX, this is one thing that tends to happen in these summer tournaments here in the United States. Is that and I saw this way back in the early 2000s when Club America played Milan at the Georgia Dome.
I remember.
And Milan came in and they brought a largely full strength roster and they got ran by Club America. I mean, ran. They were not ready for the intensity that the Liga MX team brought. They were not ready for the bat blank insanity that they were willing to engage in. And they did not try playing catch up until the second half. And I'm just saying, you could see some shocks in this group if the team from Tunisia and the team from Liga MX show up and decide to go full bore.
All
bets are off
as well. I mean, that's the thing that I think a lot of these European teams have never truly dealt with outside of maybe some trips to the Baltic states is fans who, I mean, they're scary, to be quite honest.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, so that's I'm looking forward to chaos. You know me and chaos. That's what I'm hunting for. Group E: River Plate, Urawa Red Diamonds from Japan, Monterrey, and Inter Milan. Nick, in Group E.
Yeah. So the blue and black team's gonna go do something. I don't know. We got to make sure that they're probably having to work for the airline to ensure that the team could afford to pay their way over. But I want to see where this group ends up because if they put this group on the West Coast, then you could get some butts in seats.
Yes, absolutely.
If you put this team on in the Southeast, it could be problematic for some of your matchups. But this is going to be interesting to see where FIFA puts these groups, and because they believe me, look, I agree that you may have some tickets that are moderately affordable, but at the end of the day, you will find groups that are magically playing in certain locations to ensure that that you're going to end up getting some cash flow coming in from this thing. They want to make this the most successful Club World Cup in history. They want to make sure that they have a good a good footprint, good roadmap for how to handle a World Cup coming up, and they have to also sell to the world. And I'm not trying to get political here, but you have to sell to the world that you will have a safe experience here in America.
Yeah, for 26, yeah.
And that this is also part of the process. So there's a lot riding on this tournament for FIFA. And so I really want to see where they put these groups, and especially if somehow, some way, Boca and River end up playing each other somewhere along this line, you are going to get a lot of security testing in place, especially if you end up in the Southeast or if you end up in the Southwest. You could have some really, really interesting dynamics playing out, as we saw during Copa America in Miami.
This group screams, Nick, being in Georgia and Florida.
Because yes, it does.
when you look at when you look at the host sites, you've got Mercedes-Benz, you've got Bank of America up in Charlotte. I can see that very favoring Monterrey, the Gigante from Mexico.
Right.
And then with the Argentinian connection and Miami and probably Orlando as well. I could see like, yeah, this is going to be a problem for. I know you will absolutely hate seeing an Italian team get thropped by some of these South American and Central. I know it'll break your heart to see
shattered,
this.
shattered.
Yeah, no.
Me, big River Plate enthusiast.
I want to know if Monterrey and Inter are going to wear their striped kits together, because one is white and blue and the other one's black and blue. I think they should try that out.
Well, absolutely. But yeah, so Nick, big Urawa Red Diamonds energy.
Massive
for Nick
Yeah.
in Group E.
Yeah, I'm the guy who would dress up in like in the inflatable Godzilla outfit when they play against Inter, and like do like the inflatable thunder sticks. Yeah, that would be me. If you see that at Bank of America Stadium, you just know, all right, that's Nick in there about to have heat stroke.
That's amazing. Group F. We always mentioned that the Seattle group is the Gruppo della Morte. Group F, Fluminense, Dortmund, Ulsan, and Mamelodi Sundowns. What happened here? Group F. I guess they want Dortmund to go through, eh?
I would say congrats to Dortmund.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Fluminense, to be fair. Like,
Yeah.
those are the two to get through that group.
I mean, that's what I'm staring at in this one. We mentioned one's a group of death. This one is like the group of paper footballs or whatever in Group F. Group G, Man City, Wydad AC out of Morocco, Al Ain out of the UAE, and Juventus, Nick.
I would like to see. Morocco has put a ton of money from the top down into their program, so into their entire soccer pyramid has received significant and substantial funding. There is a sincere effort to place Morocco front and center on the world stage at all levels of football. It will be very easy to point at this team out of Morocco and say, okay, they're out, but they will show up ready, guns a-blazing, in order to showcase, hey, that money was not wasted, right? So they want to put on a good showing here. Juve is, I'm not going to say Juve is a shell of themselves, because they're not, but they will show up with how Italian teams do, God bless us, but they show up here and they're not going to work unless they have to. If they don't, it's going to be very interesting what happens when Inter and Juve get punched in the face. I want to see how that works out, but don't sleep on any of these African teams coming out for Club World Cup.
Well, two things I want to talk about with both Group G and F is you've got potential for Americans playing here. Obviously, with Juve, you've got McKinney and Weah. With Dortmund, you've got Giorena and Cole Campbell, who's making his ways, and at Monterrey as well. If you want to go see Brandon Vasquez, but Nick, I'm curious how the American connection will help Juve in the stands this summer.
I think it'll be huge. Again, it's butts and seats, right? And so if you have the opportunity, it's one thing to.
If it's close, I'm going. Type of thing.
Right. And that's the huge thing here, is that how often do you get to see your national team heroes, especially the European-based ones, play here in America? Like we saw when
in real matches,
real matches,
not the.
Correct. It's one thing to say, okay, I'm going to go and spend an insane amount of money to watch a team play a friendly in which my hero will only play half of the game, if like maybe 20 minutes tops, and then they're out. So, you get the slow walk off the field, the claps, everybody's cheering, and then half the stadium empties out. FIFA does not want that. So it will be good for U.S. men's national team fans to see their heroes in the European clubs, probably get some significant playing time. And, Juve will look at this as a brand building exercise. So
do you think they have the strongest brand?
No.
Okay.
No, I think Milan right now has eclipsed them just by Pulisic's performance.
Because of Pulisic. That makes sense. Do you think Juve is up there in terms because when I think of Italian clubs, I think Juve is. I mean, there's a reason. The nickname of the grand old lady or whatever, but
yeah. Hey, look,
I do think I get your point about Pulisic specifically has raised Milan's status, but I think there's a lot of Juve clout still out there.
There is. I think that Juve was a far more attractive ticket when you had Buffon in goal, when you had Chiellini, when you had Bonucci, when you had that moron number 7 up top. You had it was a more attractive ticket. This is a brand that would still have significant drawing power in Europe, but I don't know if it's going to be the same here outside of the US men's national team players. But I think that's why
I think would carry a long way. Yeah, I think that'll still carry a long way. I mean, you're going to see a lot of red, white, and blue in the stands cheering for Juve, in my opinion.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of U.S. men's national team kits when Juve shows up to play, and there will be pressure on them to play those guys and play them for a while.
Do Inter and Juve just play in the New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia area, or are they going to be?
Yes, they will. I think my people are going to demand. You got to place them. You don't want to place them in Dallas, okay? You don't want to place them there. But
I don't know if Nashville's the place. Where I am.
No,
right now. I don't know if Nashville's the place to put the Italian teams. So,
no, but I would certainly look at putting Juve up in the Northeast, and you got to give them a run.
Pagolo, buddy.
Just show up. Sedete qui. Here.
Can Tommy DeVito's agent be the official coin toss person?
Tommy DeVito be your official coin toss.
What are we doing if that doesn't happen? What are we doing as a society if that's not happening?
Oh man! See, once again, here we go. We're fixing the Club World Cup, and it hadn't even started yet.
That's why I'm like, why the Mexican teams are going to get in like one of 4 locations. It's going to be LA.
Yep.
Probably Florida, one of those 2, and then Atlanta and Charlotte. There's huge Mexican populations in all 4 of those places. Like FIFA's not dumb.
Yeah.
They need to fill their coffers. According to Ben Jacobs earlier this morning, Messi and friends are supposed to play at the casino in Group A. They play at the Hard Rock. Group B expected to be in Los Angeles and Seattle. No surprise once again with the Sounders being attached to Group B. Around half of the other games, according to Jacobs, will take place in New York, and Atlanta is also expected to get a big chunk of games. Group H, Real Madrid, Al Hilal, Pachuca, and FC Salzburg. Hey, Real Madrid, thanks for coming by.
High key, think this is a really good opportunity for a Salzburg team that doesn't get a whole lot of when they go to the UEFA Champions League, they get kicked out early because there is that talent gap. I'm curious how a team that has been so good in Austria competes with a Pachuca or, Al Hilal.
Mm-hmm.
Wrong one.
So what you're looking at for venues, once again, LA and Seattle, they're thinking that's Group B. You've got Hard Rock, and I'm guessing they're going to try and put it in the Citrus Bowl. I don't know if they're going to put
Citrus Bowl and Enter & Co.
Okay.
I would imagine that when you get to
deeper stages and things.
When you get to the Al Hilal versus Porto match, is that going to be in the Citrus Bowl, or is that Camping World, or is that an Enter & Co?
Hey, they ain't paying us to talk about their equipment, so it's the Citrus Bowl.
Yeah.
Bank of America capacity. TQL in Cincinnati is 26,000. Rose Bowl listed as one of the venues. Hard Rock capacity is 65. Geodis listed with a capacity of 30. The Meadowlands at 82.5 for soccer. Citrus Bowl listed at 65 for soccer. And yes, the Ampersand Stadium in Middle Florida with a capacity of 27,000. The Link for 69,000. Lumen at 69,000. Nice. And Audi at 20. And that's what we're staring at. So DC, they're moving them to Audi Field. They better get some horticulture squared away on that joint because.
What was the other option, John? Frickin' FedEx? That ain't.
I don't know if is FedEx even wide enough, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Well,
FedEx is actually wide enough, but it's just a terrible stadium.
Well, let's keep in mind the Rose Bowl. The reason why they're playing in the Rose Bowl, they're going to play it off as this historic stadium. That's not the case. The big issue here is in LA, when they built the stadium, they didn't build it with FIFA lines in mind, and ownership refuses to remove any seats in order to ensure that they can account for the FIFA lines. So,
Stan Kroenke once again forgetting that soccer is a sport.
Yeah. So you have this modern, like,
Gorgeous
ridiculous,
cathedral.
gorgeous cathedral in LA that you can't even use for the premier sport in the world. So you've got to haul it up to Pasadena, and
don't worry,
Pasadena,
Nick. CONCACAF is playing their next 2 Nations League finals there, though.
Yeah, it'll be great. Yeah, it's gonna be a good job.
Yeah,
but and for those who have never been to Pasadena, it ain't exactly next door to Los Angeles.
No.
The Rose Bowl is in a neighborhood. Like you run down from one corner and like
next to a golf course, ain't it?
And you park on the golf course. That's how the golf course makes their money, especially for Rose Bowl environments. You park on the golf course, they overcharge you for the parking, and then they take the revenue from the parking, and that's how they fix the golf course.
Right. So if you've ever seen like the movie Kill Bill, right, where the bride shows up and faces off against Vivica A. Fox, that's Pasadena. That neighborhood, that beautiful little quaint neighborhood is Pasadena.
Yeah.
And it's like probably that where they shot that was probably maybe like 3 minutes away from the Rose Bowl tops. So there ain't exactly a fantastic level of infrastructure there to make that happen. But Kroenke won't make any moves necessary to make any adjustments in his modern technological masterpiece. So, okay, great.
So let's see. Let me take the tour real quick. It looks like Aaron Opoku's reached a verbal agreement with all caps. The 25-year-old striker from Kaiserslautern, keen to join MLS in January. Already received fees, an offer worth $250,000 to $350,000 in transfer fees. And courting internally, advice is now being sought on whether to accept the offer. Otherwise, a pre-transfer in the summer is looming. We did have a trade this morning in Major League Soccer. The Loons have acquired, and I don't know how talented this individual is from Sporting Kansas City, but Minnesota United has acquired general allocation money from Sporting Kansas City this morning. And it's an undisclosed amount, too. So that's how secretive the talent pool is involving general allocation money.
Wow.
Being acquired from Sporting Kansas City. In
for what?
For the homegrown priorities of Ian James and Jack Courtcamp. So Minnesota United acquires an undisclosed amount of GAM from Sporting Kansas City in exchange for homegrown priorities of Ian James and Jack Courtcamp, who I believe are 2 U17s with the
they are
the national team. So
interesting.
But yeah, so you don't get a specific amount. You don't get specific allocation money. You get an undisclosed amount of general allocation money. So the trade involved something. So it might have been like, a bag of Doritos and a U-Serve and figuring that
Flamin'
out.
Hot Cheetos and a U17.
Yes.
Love it.
Messi won the Don Ovan MVP with 38.4% of the vote, beating Cucho Hernandez at 33.7%. Jorge Mas optimistic Messi will extend until 2026. Translation: when the new stadium opens. Quote, I'm very confident he'll be opening our new stadium in 26. I'll be sitting with Leo at some point in the offseason. I'm optimistic that as long as Leo's health holds up, we'll be seeing him in pink, according to Ben Jacobs. Ben Jacobs was very busy at the Club World Cup to do. And get this. Jacobs asked Jorge Mas whether Neymar is on their radar and if he's tempted to reunite MSN. Messi, Suarez, and Neymar. Quote, and this is Jorge Mas. We've an unlimited budget. We are aspirational. If there's ever a chance to bring the caliber of a player like Neymar, we will not hesitate. Quote.
Bart, you okay over there, man?
Yeah, sorry, my computer was dying, so I needed to go get my
Had to go plug it in.
my charger.
Excellent. Let's look at this messy news or this messy quote thing here from Moss. Look, Messi is now officially on about 87% of all products involving sporting water, beer, chips.
Hey,
It is everything that America has promised. and more.
NIL, baby. That's what it is.
Right. And the old Jay-Z quote, I'm not a businessman, I'm a business man.
Mhm.
So anybody can be employed by Messi, the business, and not Messi, the team, right?
Yeah.
So if you're employed by Messi, the man, he can pay you whatever he wants.
Mhm.
And so if Neymar says, hey, look, how do I get over here? Great. Well, you sign up with Messi LLC,
Mhm.
and we can ensure that we can compensate you whatever is needed for you to come here and play in pink for a while. And there's nothing. It's the most beautiful loophole that you can
I'm
imagine.
envisioning a Neymar Audi dealership
Oh yeah.
in Orlando, and just like not Miami, Orlando.
Yeah.
Where you have a huge Portuguese Brazilian speaking population.
Yeah.
I say
And
Brazilian
perhaps
expat population.
perhaps a chain of ortho dealerships to make sure that he's got the proper equipment when he's on crutches.
Yeah.
Well, especially when that injury happens from the December to March timeframe.
Yes.
And
so he's late for training camp. Yeah, he's dinged up. We're letting him rest.
Yeah, we're letting him rest down at Carnival. Yeah. So, hey, if Miami makes it happen, beautiful. Go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what you can make happen. Test the limits of NIL and sponsorships and things like that. But my larger question is this: so Messi wins the Don Ovan MVP award over Cucho, Evander, Benteke, and Suarez. Was someone who played in 55% of Miami's matches worthy of getting the MVP award?
The question really is, how are we defining most valuable?
Right. Yeah, because oh man, I'm with you, Nick. Ugh.
I mean, are we talking about on the field scoring goals, or is it to how much did Apple's subscriptions tick up? How much was added to the bottom line? How much viewership jumped this past season? Because if those numbers are markedly improved, he was the most valuable player for the league. But if you're telling me that from an on-field perspective, he was more important than Benteke, because who was DC without Benteke?
Yeah, and that gets into the conversation though, Nick. While I agree Benteke was more valuable to his team wasn't good.
That's true,
except against Atlanta.
And they were and Messi and friends won 8 of 9 in Major League Soccer when he was not in the lineup. Remember, he missed over 2 months with the ankle injury. Remember the picture of him on the bench in the Copa final, where his ankle looks like somebody turned a king's scepter upside down and had it substitute as his left leg. I mean, 55% of the matches in a 34-match competitive season, he gets the MVP. They win 8 of 9 without him. But to Nick's economic three-dimensional perspective,
well, he also had as the release says, more goal contributions than anyone else in the league. Right now, I think for me, the discussion as we're getting to is yes, the numbers for Messi look great, but when you talk about most valuable. The wins above replacement seem pretty darn good for someone. It's not like he was necessary.
Bart quotes war.
Yeah. It's not like his war is that great because I think anyone you put Christian Roldan in that position and he's probably contributing some goals on a goal a game. No offense, but that's just the reality when you have a guy like Luis Suarez, Leo, and all the rest of the talent. You know, I still think that Fugue is the one that got snubbed from all of this discussion, because I think when you watch LA Galaxy and watch how instrumental he was to that, I mean, I think he averaged 1 million touches a game.
Yeah.
I wish I were exaggerating, but like he had an insane amount of touches per 90. And when you look at his team, sure, they didn't set a points record, but you know, and it's not like LA is like hurting for talent either, but they had a very good season. They are now in the final, which I know doesn't play into these voting discussions, but still, I think Ricky Puig is the one who was snubbed the most in a season where Messi didn't have to be on this team for, I mean, Messi, look, obviously I think if Messi's not there, then you don't have all the other players who are there. But if Messi were to not have played this year, as we saw, I think Miami would have been just fine. Are they setting the points record? Maybe not, but they're still probably the number 1 overall seed. And they still get bounced by Atlanta in the first round.
There you go. Leagues Cup is going to be played in 2025. Lizzie Bescherano came out with that news yesterday. But apparently now, and this goes to comments that were made by Ernst Tanner, I want to say last week in Philly, it looks like the Leagues Cup format may only be 18 and 18. When Ernst Tanner said that it didn't look like the Union were going to be one of the chosen many that were going to be in Leagues Cup. So 18 MLS teams, considering this format, 18 MLS teams and the 18 Liga MX teams for what could be Leagues Cup in 2025. Yes, it will be played, but now they're trying to figure out to what extent it will be played because of everything going on simultaneously. Gold Cup, June 14 to July 6. Club World Cup, June 15 to July 13. And Leagues Cup is expected to be played in the summer months. So you could have a demolition derby of a schedule involving Leagues Cup, Gold Cup, Club World Cup here in this particular hemisphere. Remember, the 23 and the 24 versions of the Leagues Cup had everybody in the pool. Now they're looking at 18 plus 18, and that's what we might be seeing. That, once again, that's from Lizzie Bescherano over at the Four Letters. So,
look, the only winner here is the Ortho Clinic. That's it. That's the only
Neymar's
winner here is the
Ortho
Ortho
Clinic is the one that wins this, right?
This is not sustainable. This kind of schedule is not sustainable. It is, you are forcing athletes, and before anyone says, oh, they're millionaires, I'm sorry. You go, if you know any professional athletes, you go and you see them after they've retired, and you look at them hobbling around. Your body does not recover. It does not recover.
I didn't play professionally, and I'm still hurting when I wake up every day from playing from the time I was 4 until. I mean, seriously, it's just this is not good for them.
It's not, and I don't care what the rev split is. I don't care what
it doesn't make up for it.
Yeah, the maximum they maximize. Oh, they maximize their visibility in the marketplace. No, I'm sorry. Like that's like when somebody says, hey, you can do this job, Nick, you'll get paid an exposure. Right. Exposure doesn't pay the power bill. Exposure doesn't pay the water bill. And, you know, the exposure doesn't reconstitute ACLs, MCLs, and Achilles. So when you have this kind of ridiculous schedule happening, you're punishing these players and you're punishing their parent clubs. And initially, when I heard what Ernst Tanner said, I was initially like, well, blank you, Ernst Tanner, out of principle. But now I'm like, great. I get to have my players sit to the side and have a reduced schedule. Amazing.
Here's my thing about this Leagues Cup is I think the problem with Leagues Cup, personally, is, for those of you who don't remember, in the old format, it was basically, for MLS, the teams that didn't make CONCACAF Champions League.
All right.
And so there was a level of qualification. So it was essentially the Europa Cup, right? Europa League.
Yep.
And I think there is value in that for MLS and Liga MX, who by far have the biggest saturation of good clubs in this hemisphere, to have their own little Europa League, because you do want to reward, for example, under this format, like Charlotte would not have doesn't qualify necessarily for a Champions Cup type thing.
Yeah.
But hey, you had a good season. You get rewarded because you now qualify for Leagues Cup. You get an extra, 2-3 games throughout the season in a group stage. And hey, if you do that, then you're going to a quarterfinal, semifinal, final. That sounds fun, right? That is a way to build hype because you have qualified for it. I think what you have the problem with right now in this current edition is from the MLS side, and I think from the Liga MX side, the fans aren't buying what's being sold to them because there's no stakes. It's just like, okay, cool. You have a month break. That's terrible. Especially when you're Atlanta and don't know how to win in the Leagues Cup. And
there's the zinger du jour that I was waiting for.
Not a zinger, it's a fact, John. And so then you sit for 3 weeks afterwards, and you're just like, well, what do we do? That's a bad format, I think this is a step in the right direction. I think the obvious answer is you're going to have Seattle and Miami not play in Leagues Cup, because they're in Club World Cup,
right?
And you're probably, I don't know about the selection thing, but Philly didn't make the playoffs, so I don't have they if you want to talk about good teams, then they shouldn't be in it. But my fear is you're going to have Seattle and Miami playing this because you got to have Messi playing a competition that's MLS based, and that's to Nick's point, that's not good for anyone. But this should be the year coinciding with Champions Cup. This should be the tournament for the people and the teams in Liga MX and MLS who did not get into Champions Cup but still had very good seasons. Give me the next 8, if you will.
Well, and what I would also propose is a widening of the roster eligibilities and make sure that your rosters aren't.
John, now you're talking about owners making decisions that make sense, and that's your problem there.
Well, because you're getting to the point, I made this point earlier this week, that you're getting to the point with all of these competitions. Nick, can you help me out? Because Jason pronounces the country better than I do, and I think that you do a good second. Where the Premier League plays. Thank you. With all of the competitions they have, that is where we are heading here. In that country, you have Gummy Bear Cup, you've got FA Cup, you have Premier League, you've got whatever league you're playing in. In the Pyramid, you have Johnston's Paint, you've got Europa League, you've got all of these other tournaments, and you need to, with all of these tournaments now here in this hemisphere, you've got to loosen your roster restrictions so the 30 guys that are there, it's easy for them, almost like make it like the NBA and the G League, where guys are 10-day deals, but you don't restrict how many matches they can play, where you could have call-ups and only be eligible. You could be called up for 4 times to sit on a bench and only play 2. No, you got to wipe that off the board. If you're going to,
what's the point of having league MLS Next Pro as a reserves league if you don't use the reserves?
See, I mean, you saw in open, because you've got Leagues Cup, you've got Open Cup, you've got regular season, you've got CONCACAF for those that qualify. All of these things that are stacking up, and you're restricting your own roster size, roster health, tournament advancement. You're going to have teams take one of these tournaments. It might be Leagues Cup, where you get 3 weeks off if you don't get out of group. You could sit there and tank your group. If it's a large market team, let's just say, if it is a large market team in the old U.S. television ADI breakdown, if a large market team that is attached to Major League Soccer decides, because they're in all these damn tournaments, tell you what, we're going to blow off Leagues Cup. We're going to blow off this television series on Apple TV and just go through the group stage. We're going to Christmas tree it under the current roster specs. And then we're going to take 3 weeks off and get healthy. That does not, I mean, you're not drawing in the audiences and the larger chances at metrics by keeping these clubs engaged in these tournaments and being a part of these television shows that you're creating on Apple. You've got to fix the roster rules here.
Well, because they're not looking at there are terms in corporate America that will absolutely warp your brain. Okay. Like, and you see it on LinkedIn all the time. They don't want exciting, amazing competition. They want attentive consumers, right? Attentive consumers of product. And that you have to utilize the resources at your disposal to obtain these engaged consumers. And how do you do that? You put your resources out front and center every chance you get. And the idea is that these engaged consumers will lock onto your product and they will buy the supporting products that, of your advertisers and services. And, I'm sure American Family Insurance is a wonderful insurance company that does a good book of business. I have never once looked at purchasing American Family Insurance because they are on the front of Atlanta United's jersey, but there they are.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a part, but it's, at the end of the day, that's all this is. And you, the consumer, have to make a choice whether you are going to tune into all of this mess or not. I fundamentally disagree with the fact that we have to have these crazy conversations where we have to look at a team that may tank, because you end up with like Blackpool in England some years ago, where if I remember correctly, there were accusations that they were tanking in the FA Cup because they were concerned about survival in the Prem. And they were nuking the manager after the game on this. And the manager said, I am the manager of Blackpool. I select the roster, not you and not anyone else in the media. And it was this huge to-do. And I think that you're going to get a situation, I could absolutely see Sporting Kansas City, and where they end up in front of cameras and conversations are being had. And so, nope, I am the manager.
Peter Vermees isn't going to take
Vermees. I'm the manager, the general manager. I'm everybody in this organization, baby. You don't tell me nothing about my roster. And don't be shocked if some of these other teams do it as well. And to Bart's point, if you have a next pro, you need to have a fluid transition period from roster to roster during periods like this, where Garber comes in and says, from this window to this window, you can fluidly move players back and forth. No roster issues.
That is, to me, the point of a reserves team. Is what we saw this with Atlanta United this summer, where we were in Open Cup competitions and we gave the young players some chances. That's the point of the Open Cup. That's the point of this, because otherwise, no offense to the next pro teams, but you're just playing a bunch of guys who are at the same level as you.
And you won in Charleston with a rotated lineup with second team and academy and next pro players.
What this is my solution. So here it is. We're trying to fix the problems, but I think MLS, U.S. Open Cup, and Leagues Cup need to allow teams to have a 40-player roster, and so that, or increase whatever the roster size is by 10. I don't remember what they are for each one.
It's 30 under contract, but if you go to 40.
But that's MLS. I don't know what it is for what the roster. I don't know exactly the roster rules, but anyway, allow teams to have 40 teams rostered, and so MLS needs to allow teams to understand that there is the MLS roster. You have 30. You also then can add up to 40 for your roster. And then just stipulate it has to be from your reserves team or academy. That's it. Because this is how the European teams get by with it, right? Arsenal is not putting out. Chelsea is not putting out their best 11 when they go play in an FA Cup third round match. Although we might have to, because now we're playing Manchester United, which is bullshit.
There's the explicit rating for the day.
Sorry. Yeah, this episode is gonna. Yeah, okay. This episode deserves an explicit rating.
You ain't kidding.
That's what I don't get, Nick, is like we have this reserves and these academy systems, but we don't allow them to even dip their foot into the professional waters, which is the point of having that structure.
On the surface is the point of having that structure. What it looks like with the way that MLS has structured this is it looks like it's two things, real estate and market share.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like, okay, we are going to put an MLS Next Pro team in a city that is, in the surrounding zone of a major league soccer club to ensure that we expand the fan base of the parent club in that pyramid, right? And where you may have had one of these MLS Next Pro teams in Huntsville. Huntsville's, I think, a prime example because their parent club is Nashville, correct?
Yes.
You're what, 4 hours from Nashville if you're in Huntsville?
Oh no, you're more like 2.
Mm-hmm.
More 2. Okay, two. I thought it was like 2. Yeah.
4
So-
from here. 4 from here to Huntsville. 2 from Huntsville to Nashville.
There we go. So if you're 2 hours from that, you're trying to expand into Alabama, correct? Because there's no Major League Soccer team in Alabama. So
2
what do you
hours,
do?
1 minute to Huntsville from where I am in East Nashville.
There you go.
Okay, so there you go. So you have the MLS start expanding. But if you put the roster rules in place that say you cannot fluidly move these players back and forth at the will of the parent club, then all you're doing is talking real estate and market share. Otherwise, it's not there to benefit the parent club. Well, it's there to benefit the parent club from player development. Okay, great. You're talking about all of these resources to move what? 10% of this second division club up to the first team? Maybe 15% tops?
Yeah.
It's
Well,
okay. So what else is it then?
This is what I don't get. Nick, I agree with you about like the market share, the visibility, all that. Like I totally understand why Nashville has a team in Huntsville, Alabama, which is, the next closest. I mean, literally, it's closer than both Memphis and Knoxville. Next closest big city, right? But the problem I have with this is you're not able to actually monitor, in my opinion, those players on your reserves team adequately day in and day out. And if they're all down in Huntsville, sure, you've got scouts and reports, but like if I'm the GM and the head coach, I want eyes on them as much as possible. And that's why I just don't love the idea of a MLS Next Pro team, a reserve team of an MLS team being, external like that. I could understand if it's like Franklin, Tennessee, where it's like, yeah, you're 45 minutes out of the city and we're just putting one here because, well, they've got an open stadium, like, I mean, if I get it, but I don't love the Huntsville-Nashville relationship. I understand that a little bit better than the independent clubs, but whatever. I just, they're not using this correctly. These tournaments are opportunities to actually use your reserve and your academy players, and MLS continues to restrict that ability, which if you want to be a selling league, getting a 17-year-old into an open cut match before he becomes 18 so that you can show him off to the world and say, hey, look what you could be buying in 6 months' time. That makes too much sense for an MLS.
Way too much sense, Bart. Way too much sense.
Mm-hmm. All right. So before we get out of here, obviously we got to talk about the last game of the end of the year for Major League Soccer. It is LAG and it is Red Bulls. No Ricky Puig, obviously, who played 30 minutes on a torn ligament in his knee and still contributed to the 1 goal in the match. The man is insane. And it is LAG at home, hosting Red Bulls. Nick Alifi, what say you in this matchup this weekend?
I logic suggests Red Bulls, but it is. There are moments in sports that don't make any damn sense. I'm going back to the New England Patriots in 2001. Drew Bledsoe, rocket arm quarterback who was a statue, but could throw the ball further than Uncle Rico, goes down with an injury. Everybody thinks that the Patriots are done for. They're they don't have an option. This random nobody named Tom Brady steps in, and the Patriots go on to win the Super Bowl. I don't know if this is going to mirror that situation, but the Red Bulls as an organization, I think, have a lot of pressure to prove their worth to the Red Bull org. From a managerial perspective, there's a lot of pressure there. From a player perspective, there's a lot of pressure. This is an organization that has won nothing but supporter shields. They have yet to win the big one.
They barely have supporter shields.
Yeah.
They have a couple, but yeah, I'm with you. Like this is oof, yeah.
Give me LA. I'll take LA still. Ricky-less LA. I'll take them.
Yeah.
The number has decreased over the week. LAG is a minus 116 now. It started basically around minus 130. It's down to a minus 116. Draw and Red Bulls have pretty much stayed the same. Draw in 90 minutes is plus 277 in the composite. Red Bulls to win outright is a plus 282.
But that LA line has moved.
LA line has moved closer to even money over time.
Yeah.
And look, all I'm saying is that if a line's moving, Vegas knows something, man. They at least have a hunch.
Yeah. And Diego Fagundes probably is going to be in the spot shadow with Ricky Puig out as the catalyst for 2/3 of the Killer Peas. Yeah, Nick, according to 4Card, Nick needs to join Picks of the Week in the Discord. So you could be like me and finish last by picking draw all the time. So you've got that. And
we're not taking John to the sports book.
No, you're not. But
the funniest things during soccer over there is when John would pick draws, nothing but draws, it would win. Like once in a blue moon it happened. It was the funniest thing.
Teams you know nothing about, I'm going to hedge my bet and sit there and go draw. And you've also got to counter program everybody else on the show when it came to picks. So, it's like, okay, I've got to figure out a way to advance this somehow. Everybody's picking one side or the other. It just coincidentally meant that I picked draw, and I ended up picking draw more often than not. So that was how I'm counter programming without any knowledge, without any foresight.
To watch Jason's face would be like Inter Mongolia is getting a is plus 900. John like draw.
Absolutely true. And so we're trying to figure out, even if it's in taped form, probably need to have Nick bring back soccer over there just to even have it on tape, even if it's not live, just to have the episodes available. And we got to figure out a way to make that happen. We got to bring SOT back. So
we'll figure it out.
That is mandatory. All right. This weekend it is a bunch of college championships and advancements and things like that. Columbus State's playing tomorrow afternoon at 3 at Walden against the University of West Florida in the round of 8 in Division II women. Number 2 ranked team in the country against number 1, and it's in Columbus. Emory is in Las Vegas in the Final Four for Division III women. SCAD continues to win in their tournament.
Jeez.
Yeah, so SCAD continues to win. Dalton State continues to win. We're keeping an eye on all of that, trying to catch up with programs as they continue to win in advance, and we'll probably catch up with them early part of next week. Tuesday next week is going to be a little wonky because of high school football, so it might end up being an SDH PM. I've got to alert Keeler Hodges about that. There's some moves and information in USL Championship that have happened. Taylor Davila signs a multi-year contract extension with Lou City. San Antonio FC has inked Jorge Hernandez to a multi-year deal. Detroit City has signed former Sacramento defender Shane Wheat. Birmingham Legion has signed Ronaldo Damas on loan from GIF Sundsvall in Sweden. I initially looked at this and I'm like, GIF Sundsvall? No, GIF Sundsvall with an option to purchase from the Swedish club. And so transactions aplenty are happening in the USL. New coaches for One Knox in League One and Lexington SC as they move up to USL Championship. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Let me get into that, and then what to watch, where to watch it, and how to watch it. And quickly as we get into the weekend here. Bart, you're in Nashville. You're in God's time zone.
I am currently in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay, because you said East Nashville. I'm like, wait a minute. See,
I am in East Nashville.
You're that close to Murfreesboro and the southernmost White Castle in the United States.
Yes.
Tremendous.
There's a White Castle here. So,
oh, yes, there is.
It's sun.
Opry Mills, baby. Go hit up Opry Mills.
That is true.
I will be downtown on Broadway tonight, so don't pray for
Oh.
me. I'll enjoy it, but
No,
I'm
yeah.
going. I'm up here for concerts. So
Which concert?
Casey Musgraves is playing 2 nights, and I'm
ah.
going to both of them because I'm addicted.
Understood. Arsenal, Chelsea, both targeting a striker, both looking at Newcastle's Alexander Isak. Cover your ears, Alex. Manchester United have also made signing a striker their top priority in the window. Bayern have made significant progress regarding a contract extension for Alphonso Davies, who's being monitored by Manchester United, according to Florian Plettenberg of Sky Germany. United also behind Chelsea in the race to sign Lecce's 20-year-old Denmark left-back Patrick Dorgu. Chelsea and Brighton manager Graham Potter has been sounded out by both Wolves and West Ham. Dortmund coach Edin Terzic will not become the new manager of West Ham if Julian Lopetegui is relieved of his position, but Kasper Schulman is in contention. David Moyes is among the contenders for Wolves if Gary O'Neill gets sacked, but Luton boss Rob Edwards is an outsider, having been well thought of at the Molineux because he played there for 4 years. Brighton and Southampton tracking 18-year-old Motherwell teenager Lennon Miller. Scotland U21 midfielder also interesting to Liverpool and Newcastle. 4-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. Liverpool in contact with Leverkusen over a move for Jeremy Frimpong. Georgia and Napoli winger Kavichka Kvaratskhelia is attracting interest from Liverpool. Not a shock. That's definitely one of the things. You got to look at Kvaratskhelia from what happened in the Euros. He has definitely got a spot shadow on him. Liverpool monitoring Bayern Munich winger Leroy Sané, who could be sold. Manchester City will allow Kevin De Bruyne to join one of CFG's sister clubs when he leaves. That's from the Telegraph from yesterday. Inter Miami, tell me you're shocked. David Beckham have made De Bruyne their man in the transfer target, although De Bruyne has been linked to San Diego FC. Everton's Beto and Mali midfielder Abdoulaye Doucouré both wanted by Roma. So Guinea-Bissau striker Beto, Mali midfielder Abdoulaye Doucouré both wanted by Roma. Liverpool confident that Ibrahima Konate will sign a new contract with the club. Juve and Marseille interested in signing Chelsea's defender Benoit Badiashile. Chelsea have made contact with Benfica over signing center back Thomas Arujo, with them willing to let French defender Axel Disasi leave in January as a make-weight. Fabio Vieira's long-term future at Arsenal is in doubt, with the Gunners ready to listen to offers for the midfielder currently on loan at Porto. And Deco, who is the director of football at Barca, has met with the reps for Jonathan Tah, who's out of contract at Bayer Leverkusen next summer. Did I miss anything, gentlemen?
No, I think
No Atlanta United striker rumors, coach rumors, GM rumors, nothing.
No, but there is, but there is a note.
Give the people what they want.
But there is a note on Edwin Mosqueda that came out this morning from Mariano Olson, who has 40,000 followers on the 280-character app, and he is one of the correspondents for Win Sports in Colombia. Mosqueda is on the radar of Junior, Atletico Nacional, and Millonarios. Could go out on a loan with an option to buy. No official offers yet. So keep
absolutely love that idea for us.
For loan with an option to buy with Edwin Mosqueda. What is Nick? What is on your viewing habit this weekend, or are you going to not watch much of anything this weekend?
I'm not going to watch much of anything this weekend. That is my plan anyway. I've got to shoot in Denver coming up.
Oh, that's right.
So I've got to be prepping for that and making sure all the cinema lenses and gear and whatnot's prepped and ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
And that will be my game plan for the weekend.
And I know that Bart is Casey Musgraving this entire weekend, so I don't know how much soccer you're actually going to watch.
I'll have some time in the morning to watch. I'll be able to check out Premier League in the morning, but probably not too much after that.
Okay. Well,
why did they put Merseyside Derby on at 6:30 in the morning over here? That was
first off, because it's 7:30 in the morning over here. And
same differences.
Yeah, but 6:30 hits different. It's like literally it's like having a 0 and a price tag and a 9/10 and a price tag. That 0 just looms a little larger. 99 cents and a price tag versus an even dollar amount. It just hits you a little different.
Yeah.
And 6:30 a.m. hits you really different when you're sitting there and you want to watch a match on 7:30 Eastern time on a Saturday morning. They're trying to start the weekend early for you. All right, last thoughts before we go on anything, Nick Alifi.
Just look, be savvy consumers, friends. Look, just at the end of the day, watch what you want to watch, but make sure that you support your grassroots soccer,
Amen.
right? That means getting out, and if you live in the Brookhaven area of the great state of Georgia, you go and check out Oglethorpe, see what's happening at Oglethorpe, see what's happening at Emory, and be nice to your freaking youth league refs. Okay, be nice to them. All right, that it is not a personal vendetta against little Bryson with 6 R's and 3 Y's in his name because the ref called
he's
an
a
offside.
numeral. He's a numeral.
Yeah. Bryson Jameson Willingham IV was offside, and somehow it is jihad by your local 14-year-old referee. It's not that kid's fault. Be nice to your freaking refs. You want good refs at a higher level? You need good refs at a lower level that are learning. So be nice to them, man. And this is from the king of dark arts himself.
Absolutely
be nice
true.
to the refs.
Absolutely true. So this is
That's how you get away with dark arts, Nick. You get it on the
man.
ref's good side, and they don't think that you'll do it.
Correct.
That's right.
Last words from Bart Keeler, who stuck with us for an hour and 48 minutes, and not all of that was on the air.
Enjoy MLS Cup if you're watching it. I think it's a celebration of our league. It's a wonderful time for us as fans of the league to enjoy the last hurrah that we'll have for a couple months.
Mm-hmm.
Now is a great time, December and January, to look into becoming a referee or a coach. So I would encourage anyone to go to the ussoccer.com website, look at how you can do that if you feel so behooved. We always need referees. We always need coaches. And we need people who love the game to be involved in refereeing and coaching. That's my biggest thing. If you love the game and you want it to continue to grow and you want to make it a good place for people, you have to be involved.
Yes, absolutely. So enjoy your games on whatever level it is. Stay warm, and we'll be back with you on Monday to discuss it all. Bart will be back on Monday to discuss other things like the goalkeeping situation for the women's national team, anticipating episode CV with the Soccer for US POD. Yes, sir.
Should come to you today.
Oh, well, there you go. Weekend
if your internet is working.
Yeah, really? Exactly. So it worked for however long it was, an hour and 15 minutes. We actually got something to function here on a run. But no, enjoy it. We'll be back on Monday. And since it is Friday, that means it is one thing on our way out the door. And thanks to everybody who stuck with us for friggin' 2 hours and 49 minutes and 4 dumps of the internet here at the head end in Office HD. So it is the end of the week, which means we play it safe, everybody. We'll see you on Monday.
The war was on. The keys on the typewriter had sharp points that kept sticking into our fingers. The dictating equipment started asking us questions, and our beepers sent electric shocks just through our body like a cattle prod. Out in the warehouse, the trucks kept banging into the docks, not even thinking about stopping. Oh, our frail bodies were strapped to the chairs, and our chairs were chained to the desks. Our pleas for justice were ignored, and the end seemed near. But we busted our slave drivers' little bitty balls. We've charged out of their brick fortress. The streets are ours. Be gone.